Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy Tristan Barrocks here, the digital storyteller, and I'm a lot of things today. I want to make this video because I had made a video about a year ago after the incidents of Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, and so many others, and it was just a real pivotal moment, not only in the world at large, but specifically in my life. And I'm a firm believer that when things happen that kind of shake the world and shake your own foundation of how you see the world and how you interact with others within the world, I think it's important to talk about it. You know what I mean? You know, it's great to talk about how to tell stories. It's great to talk about how to use lenses and how to review dope gear and all this other stuff and edit and film and blah, 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 blah. But there are those moments and those opportunities. The story that we're actually living out is more important than the story that we're shaping for our audiences. And I think that I always want to be sensitive enough to stop, to acknowledge the moment, and to speak on those things. This is a day after. This hasn't even been 24 hours since we heard the verdict from the Derrick Chauvin trial of the murder of George Floyd. I haven't really spoken about this a lot on the channel. I haven't really spoken about it a lot in public. It's just something really integral to how I viewed the world and how I viewed our progress as a society. Kind of broke that in that moment. And even as I'm talking to you, you know, there's so many thoughts in my mind, you know, whether I should talk about this on my channel, whether, you know, I should feel a way, maybe I should feel grateful. I feel really emotional. And I'll tell you why, because I thought that getting justice would inspire or ignite something in me and make me feel joyous and happy. But sitting there listening to the three verdicts of guilty didn't really do anything. It didn't really engender a sense of relief. It was like I was still frustrated. I was happy, but I was also sad. And the reason for that is because I felt like, for some reason, even though we all saw what we saw, that nothing was going to change. We all saw one man choke the life out of another man. We all saw people standing by being traumatized. We were traumatized, or at least emotionally affected, sometimes physically affected by what we saw in that video. Even the strongest people I know, some of the people I look up to, having conversations with them, they were angry and frustrated and concerned when they first saw the video and didn't know how to address it and what to make of it. Yes, I'm happy that he's going to jail and he's found guilty on all these 3 counts, but at the same time, why wouldn't he? Why are we surprised? Why are we so happy that we finally get justice? And maybe I'm ungrateful. Maybe I'm not seeing things the way I should be seeing it. But just from my vantage point, it's like the fact that we're celebrating the lowest bar possible in terms of somebody who was videotaped murdering another person. It doesn't matter if it was a cop, not a cop, whether he had drugs in his system, not drugs. We all know, our basic humanity knows that no one should die in the middle of the street in front of hundreds of people. Nobody steps in to help, and we call that justice. That isn't justice. That's immoral. That's wrong. We all saw it. We all felt it. That's why it moved us. That's why we went out into the streets. That's why we were frustrated. That's why we were putting up our fists. That's why we were creating films. That's why we were telling stories. That's why we were having conversations. That's why, you want to be an ally, and people want to ask questions, and people want to get more information, and they really want to learn this thing, and we want to sit down together. There was a moment. I think the thing that's challenging for me is just the fact that, like, we're happy that the justice system did what it was supposed to do because we all saw the injustice that happened to George Floyd. When I sit back and when I try and digest this whole story and this whole epilogue and this whole relationship between the Black community and police, and the stereotypes and the perception of the community and the perception of Black male masculinity and the perception of Black womanhood and the way that we're treated, the way we treat each other, I don't know if this guilty verdict will necessarily change the narrative. It's a start. It's something to feel slightly good about. But George Floyd is not here. He's dead. Things are still going on. These things are still happening. So it's not just about one cop or one precinct or one thing or whatever else. It's a systematic thing that needs to change. It's something that needs to change from the foundation of the way that we perceive people, we think about people, we treat people that don't look like us, act like us, talk like us, dress like us, and think like us. It's just about treating people with common decency and humanity. And this is why it's important as creatives to be the thought leaders in society, to be open to feedback, and also to be passionate about telling stories. When we look back at the George Floyd death and murder by Derrick Chauvin, the thing that stands out to me as a creative is the fact that we had phones, we had technology, we had something that could allow us to record that situation, that would allow us to articulate the plight of Black people, marginalized people, people of color, that will go far beyond just words or anything like that. People saw it and people couldn't unsee that. People had to deal with the truth of somebody else's experience. And that's the power of media, and media, not just as a broad sense, not just as the media, as the news media, but using media as a tool to give people another experience, another perspective, and a greater understanding of somebody else's plight. So I don't know what I'm saying. Maybe I'm rambling on. Maybe I'm just sharing what's kind of coming out of my heart, coming out of my mind, coming out of my spirit. If you say and want to be an ally and say that you're an ally and you're not a part of the Black community, continue to be an ally. What does that mean? Continue to learn, continue to ask questions, read books, do your own research. We cannot always educate you and give you all the answers because we're still learning. But just like we learned how to pick up a camera and to film and to edit and to color correct and to color grade, and we learned how to play sports, and we learned how to network, and we learned how to build a website, and we learned all of these amazing things, you have the ability to learn how to be an ally as well. But hearing those guilty rulings, 3 guilty rulings, is just surreal for me. I'm old enough to remember Rodney King, to see that video over and over and over again, to see those 4 cops doing what they did to Rodney King, and for all of them to get off. I hope that this really signifies some change in our society, in our world. I hope that we as Black people can acknowledge our own humanity, but then other communities can acknowledge our humanity, acknowledge that we're not all threats, that we're not all bad people, that we have kids, that we have families, that we work jobs, that we have dreams and aspirations like any other group of people, that we have our warts and we have our shortcomings as well as a community and as a people and as individuals. But we want the same things in terms of just life, liberty, and just living our dreams like any other groups of people. Anyways, those are just my thoughts. These are just my raw thoughts. I want to put it down on paper or on video to share it. I would love to hear your thoughts, good, bad, ugly. It's all good. This is an open forum. Would love to know how you're feeling today, what you're thinking about. You know, a little bit under a day removed from the Derrick Chauvin trial and the 3 guilty verdicts. How do you feel? Hope you guys are staying positive, you're staying creative, and you're telling the stories that matter. Let's tell the stories that matter. Let's share it from our perspective, and let's be the creatives and the type of people that will have a better society for our kids' kids.